Hi everyone, thanks for joining me again. You're here with Lawrence. Today we're going to talk about how to deal with a difficult situation. A question came up and they asked, how do I have a tricky conversation with my spouse or with my girlfriend? And I guess there's 4 things that I'd like to give you advice on. The first one is to identify what the problem is and to get evidence, really. I know that sometimes someone can have a bad day and shout at us, for example. But that doesn't mean that they're always shouting, that they're always difficult. That's just a one-case scenario. But let's say that it's a recurring trend that every day after work they come home with this bad attitude and they're just tired and they're like, Lois, do the dishes. And I'm like, I don't know how, and you just go into this, you've got to figure out what the pattern is. So is there a pattern of this happening? So I'm going to use an example of a relationship. Let's say that your girlfriend has got unrealistic expectations of you. Now again, the first step is to find out if there's a pattern. So has she just asked you once to do something that's a bit unrealistic? Lawrence, I want you to do a handstand. Or does she ask you every single day, Lawrence, in order for me to have a good day today, you have to do a handstand? So is it a pattern that comes, or is it a once-off event? The next is then to plan your message or to practice your message. Now I know that sounds silly, but when we're having a difficult conversation, sometimes it's nice to just have a soundboard and make sure that who you're speaking to can give you some feedback. I do a lot of Toastmasters, and I know that before I go into any kind of speech, I practice it a couple of times, because when I get into that stage and the nerves are running and I've got what I want to say in a concise manner, and I give it to the audience. So plan the message. I think a great way to practice is to get somebody that you trust, and somebody that's in a similar situation. So I know that if I'm having a difficult conversation with my girlfriend, I'll go and speak to my best friend Brad, who's also got a girlfriend and he's actually engaged, about to get married, so exciting. So he's in that same space as me. So he will be able to give me some good feedback as to how to approach this conversation, because he's probably had that conversation once or twice. If you're looking at a work conversation, so something in the corporate world that you're struggling with, get a mentor, a manager, or maybe even someone in HR. So get somebody who's in that field who can give you like really good advice, and go and ask them, can I be a soundboard? Can I just come and tell you what I want to say? You give me some feedback. Am I being realistic? How should I approach it? Now once you've gotten sort of clear and you figured out what your message is, now we're just going to package it. That's step 3. So it's like a present. You're going to wrap a present in a nicer way for it to be consumed. So what I like to teach my clients is the 3-2-1 method. And it's a great way to give feedback, really effective. And what it's saying is that you look for 3 things that you liked, 3 positive things, 2 areas to improve, and then you summarize or you end off with 1 positive note. And all this does is just helps you to get a difficult message across in a nice way. Now feedback is something that I think is sorely missing in our communities. I know that on my first speech ever at Toastmasters, I stood up and I've been preparing for 2 weeks, and I stood up there and it was man in the mirror. That was my message. And I even did a little Michael Jackson dance, and I was the white version of Michael Jackson. That was my sort of catchphrase. And after the speech, somebody stood up and they gave me feedback and they said, Lawrence, I didn't quite like your speech. I was like, okay. I went home. The next 2 weeks I rewrote the entire speech. Came back to Toastmasters, completely redid the speech. I had a different title. It was Why Calling the Kettle Black, so it was a completely different message. And then that same guy stood up and he said, Lawrence, what happened to your speech? What happened to the parts where you spoke about your sisters and about your mom and your dad? It was such a personal story. I loved that. And what about the quotes that you used and the story and the structure? I loved it. The only thing I didn't like about your speech was that pause. You had a 2-second pause in the beginning of the speech and it made you look nervous when you shouldn't have been. I was like, dude, seriously. You made me work another 2 weeks when the only problem you had was a 2-second pause. And in my corporate experience, I've seen that so much. And somebody says, Lawrence, I don't like this slide deck or this presentation. And as I dig a little bit more, I understand that there was a spelling mistake on slide 4 that they didn't like, and I'm thinking, you could have just told me that. So the trick with feedback is to get really specific and to have examples. So Angel, what I really like is that we can communicate. We can talk so well through these things, and I love how supportive you are of me, and I love that you want only the best for me. The only area that I need some help in is that I can't do a headstand every day. I can't do a handstand, it's just too tiring, but I love that you're challenging me. Maybe we could do it that twice a week I'll do a handstand. So something where we can work together. You see how packaging that message is a lot nicer to consume than, you know what, You make me do a handstand every day. You're the one that's wrong. It's always your fault. Oh my word. Then you're starting to look at a clash that's the clash of the titans, two mammoths going against each other. You and always, two words that I always try and, that I try and refrain from when I'm talking to my girlfriend, because I think those are very hurtful words. So packaging, as funny as it sounds, you know, we shouldn't have to strategize messages. We should just speak openly from the heart. But I think sometimes just to help that person consume that message, it's nice to use the 3-2-1, 3 positive, 2 negatives, and 1 summary. And now lastly, once you've identified that it's a pattern that needs to be worked on, you've planned the message, practiced it with a few people that you trust, gotten some feedback, then just kind of package it in a nice way using 3-2-1, 3 positives, 2 negatives, 1 summary, then find a safe space to talk about it. And that's the fourth and last tip, is to just find a place where you can have a comfortable conversation. So depending on how the relationship is, if it's a work relationship, maybe you want to take them to a meeting room and even bring HR in to mediate the conversation, so you've got to look at that. If it's you and your spouse, you know, after dinner, open up a bottle of wine, have a romantic evening and say, you know, Angel, I just want to talk about something that's been on my mind a little bit. Just set the scene. If it's a friend, maybe you go for a beer. So find a safe space where you know that person will be comfortable, you will be comfortable, and also trust yourself that this is the right message, and that your feelings are important, that if you've got a problem with someone, or if someone's doing something that's offending you, you have the right to speak up. That what you feel, what you think, what you believe is right. And it's really important how you bring the message across, and if that person cares about you, they're going to look for any and every opportunity to make it right. Sometimes they just don't know that they're doing something wrong. So I hope that was helpful. I really appreciate your time and you sitting here with me and me getting to express my thoughts, and I hope that I added some value. And remember that you hold the power to change the game. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and found some value in what I said. If you want to further your self-awareness and self-development and go on this journey with me, there are 4 things you can do. The first one is subscribe to my channel. The second one is go check out my Facebook or Twitter accounts. I do daily posts, maybe that can inspire you. You can go and check out my book on Amazon, Changing the Game, 10 Perspectives to Taking Charge of Your Life. And lastly, go check out my website, www.lawrencebull.com, to go and see my newsletter, other posts, and other things that might be of interest. Hope to see you soon. Bye.